Tara is our assistant. While Tara was looking up that address, the phone cut off at some point after. I would say that somewhere in the neighborhood of 6 or 7 of those thuddings, those sort of thud sounds. And the screaming had continued.
And when you say the phone cut off, did the call drop, or
the
was
call
it
dropped? Yeah,
okay.
We lost the call.
Okay.
And so we decided to keep, while we were waiting for the address, to keep calling. We called the number back.
Brenda's number?
Brenda's number that she'd left, and we called twice, and there was no answer. It rang and rang and rang and no answer. When it went to voicemail, we hung up and we called again. And then on the 3rd time, and I had just gotten the address as the phone was answered.
Okay.
On the third try to the number, and Dean Frazier said something along the lines of, "Brenda, is that you? Are you there?" And the voice on the other end said, "Yes, this is Brenda." Yes, this is Brenda.
Now, Ms. Gaffney, did you recognize that voice on the line?
Yeah.
Okay, was that Brenda Powell?
It was not Brenda.
Who did you recognize that voice to be?
I was sure it was Sydney. Both Dean Frazier and I looked at each other and sort of shook our heads at each other and said, that's not Brenda. And he then said, I don't, Sydney, I think this is you. This is not Brenda.
And what happened next?
The phone went dead.
And Michael, you can see the defendant's reaction to that testimony of hearing this witness recount what happened. I want to kind of get your opinion on that. Her demeanor in court, her defense now says she did have these mental issues. They were just undiagnosed and treated at the time this happened.
What I want to say is, would make people feel a little uncomfortable, but peering them into the criminal justice system. What you saw in that courtroom was what you see in jails. When I first became a public defender, I'd visit jails, and there was this pungent smell, and it was awful, and the environment was awful. And what I found out early on in my career is that the overwhelming majority of offenders, aside from white-collar criminals, have mental health issues. We use the jail system as a way of treating mental health issues. Not well, but that's who's there. Most of the people that are there have mental health issues, right? And I'm not saying there's a better way of doing it. There might be, but that's basically what it is. And so what you're seeing in that courtroom, you're seeing a breakdown, right? You have to have some mental health issues to do some of the things that some of these people are accused of. So what you're seeing here in that courtroom is sad. It's tragic. There are no winners. And that's basically what's on display. But what you see there in that courtroom is what you see in the jails. And that's why people, when they get convicted for long sentences, they're immediately on suicide watch, right? For a reason. They have suicide protocols in jails when you're convicted. You're surrounded by people around you. And people who don't have mental health issues, white-collar criminals, when they go to jail for a long period of time, probably for the rest of their life, they almost always commit suicide. Because it's a terrible, terrible situation. It's the worst of our society and the worst place in our society.